What's up, guys? Mic Cuddles, episode 23. My right, your left, Gillian the Savage Robertson. What's up, G? How are you?
I'm doing great. Like as we were just talking off air, I haven't been doing a lot of training lately. I've been injured and trying to take care of injuries, and I have a big bruise from my cupping, just therapy, trying to get myself better. It's been a rough 3 weeks, but I'm glad to be back here talking to you again.
I know. Likewise. Yeah, we've been like busy doing crazy stuff and traveling. You had a really cool show you went to last weekend with Combat Night and Rise of Warrior, and just seeing you travel and stuff. I had 2 shows dealing with, and then just not craziness. And like next week is Orlando, and don't you still have like a grappling match coming up as well too, right?
I actually unfortunately had to pull out of that because of injuries. I popped my rib right before the fight, and then on the same side I popped my collarbone. So I'm just dealing with both those injuries. I haven't been able to train right and won't be able to perform that night. So unfortunately I don't have the grappling match coming up anymore.
Your body was like, gee, let's take 2022 off. Let's take these last 6 weeks off. Well, we did it. We got the big win towards the end of the year. We're still breaking records. We still have the most finishes in flyweight history. I feel good about it. I can, it's a good year. And then, 2023, maybe it's strawweight Savage time,
Yeah, it's I feel like that's almost what it is my body telling me you need to take a break. You need to calm down, because I don't. There's no point where I'm trying to take time off, or I need a rest day or something. Even today I went in the gym and I feel like I can hardly move, but I'm trying to do everything I can. I'm trying to drill. I'm trying to do stuff. There's a couple moves where I'm oh, you need to do this on somebody else. I can't have somebody sit on my chest. I can't have somebody do this, because it's just I can't do things right now, but I'm trying my hardest to just stay in there, because I have a problem.
I'm the same way. I think that's why we get along so much. I was just in Biloxi, and then I drove through it. Biloxi to Daytona Beach, guys. It's a fucking haul. It's a drive. So it's a 9-hour drive. I get back, and then I just start being dad, and we start doing more Fight Banana stuff. And the next morning I woke up, I didn't even say this to you off it. I was stiff, my back kind of seized up on me. Mm-hmm. And I was it never happened like this. It was just one of those, you feel there's a bubble in your back, it needs to pop in a way. And I couldn't pop it. I was nothing for 24 hours. And I said it to myself, the same thing you just did. It was literally whatever you believe in, or whatever's watching us, whatever. It's they're telling Dave, just stop, just take a day and stop. I never stop. My mind never stops. And the social media aspect of everything that I do, especially for Fight Bananas, it's never ending. And I did have some stuff here. We might get to it. We might not. The UFC has been insane. We haven't talked about 281. Alex Pereira beat Israel Adesanya in the 5th round. Aaron Blanchfield, we talked about. We texted it that night. It ran through. Jay Wang Lee is the new champion. UFC 282 is around the corner. UFC 284, Volkanovski versus Islam Makhachev. How insane is that? It's nuts. So much. So much to talk about.
I was waiting for you to bring up the Blanchfield and McCann. That was the one fight we were texting about whenever it was happening live. I thought it was going to happen that way. Well, not as dominant, I will say. Blanchfield went out there and put on a fucking clinic. She looked good. But I knew she was going to win the fight, and I thought she was going to dominate the fight, but she just really went out there and overperformed, over-delivered, and looked great. But I feel everybody was obviously she is great, and I love Molly. She did look great, but she's never fought a grappler since me. This is the first grappler that she's fought. And I'm how did you I just said, I feel you kind of saw this happening. You kind of saw that she was going to get taken down and dominated.
It's so wild you say that, because we talked about it that night, and that happened. And even Whaley and Carla to a certain extent. And then when I do drive for 9 hours, all I do is think about topics to talk about on podcasts or my podcast and all this stuff. And one topic I did, I have, and I just haven't brought it up on mine. I was waiting to talk about it with you, because to me, I think of you so much in that light. I don't understand, don't understand. I'm trying to say this the right way. It's so, if you had one skill to work on, UFC type of fighters, you guys have so much time and practice and effort, all this stuff. the one thing that I would become good at is grappling / wrestling / takedown, all that stuff. And it's just like, it's wild that some fighters, right, could be so high level at other things and then just kind of like say, fuck it, I'm not doing that. Like it's hard. Practice is probably hard. You can talk about it more than anyone else. Like it's grueling, like it's kind of grimy. No one really wants to do that, but like that it's the most important thing in like any aspect of mixed martial arts. Like like the Volkanovski Islam thing and the Islam beating Charles Oliveira, we were so high on Charles. Makhachev just took him to the ground, and like there's nothing he can do. Like, it's crazy to say this. Oliveira didn't have a chance against Makhachev. Like after the fact, it's like, no, Makhachev was going to win that fight 9 out of 10 times. It's just it's what it is.
Yeah, Makhachev, it's like he just is so much more of a dominant grappler in general. I feel like he was able to show where it's like sometimes I feel like not saying this about Oliveira because I think he's phenomenal, but a lot of times jiu-jitsu guys, it's like they don't deal with that like a wrestler or grappler to say. Right. So it's like it's just a different concept and a different battle, I guess. But yeah, I feel like with MMA in general, though, it is such a gamble where you place your time. And someone coming in this sport, being a pro boxer, it's like, do you really want to invest that much time into grappling when you know that your hands are going to be the way to finish it? Like, you know, you're going to finish the fight on your hands. So it's like, you only have so much time in the day and you have so many techniques to learn. So it's really, it's a debate, I feel like, where like, should Molly just focus on her wrestling defense and her striking versus focusing on really developing a good grappling ground game, or, you know, and really 100%. Investing a lot of time into that?
100%. I think you nailed it on that. Is like, I totally get it that if you're not a kickboxer, like if you're not Israel Adesanya level kickboxer, you're probably never going to beat Israel Adesanya in a kickboxing match. Like, let's just kind of let that go. But on the other, like, if you have to, like, whatever aspect you come into MMA, right? Whatever aspect you're like, your home base is, your first thing is, the second fucking thing I think you need to do is be able to stop grappling. Like, not even become the best grappler in the world and not even become Khabib Nurmagomedov and you're just immaculate at it. Like, you need to be able to stop it. So, like, in Molly's aspect, who can bang and can throw spinning elbows and she's dynamite on the feet and she's got swagger and confidence, the other fucking 49% of her time should be, hey, I can't let Aaron Blanchfield get me. I can't let Gillian Savage Robertson get my neck. Like, whatever I have to do to stop that should be it. And like, I feel like I don't want to like sound like that type of person, but like, that's what I would do. Right. Like there's only so much time. Like, Molly should never fucking throw a kick. Like, hey, Molly, we're never going to be kickboxers, but you need to be able to stop grapplers or dominant type wrestling bases. And I feel like some fighters don't do that. I think that's what I see, at least.
Personally, for me, like, so a fighter like, say, Joanna, who came into the UFC, a dominant striker and was able to stop takedowns. I feel like once she went into MMA a little bit more is when she started losing it. You know, she started losing her edge in striking because she was trying to learn the jiu-jitsu game and trying to put way too much into that. And then you saw her seeing the losses on her record. But like when she was just in Poland, focused on kickboxing and anti-jiu-jitsu, like just wrestling and standing up, she was absolutely killing it. So it's like, I feel like something like that could happen to Molly if she invests, you know, like, she doesn't need to learn how to like perfect an arm bar or do something like that. She doesn't need to learn any jiu-jitsu like that. She needs to know how to get up and stop the wrestling.
Right. I totally agree. So with that, the kind of couple other things on that card, Zhang Wei Li, just dominant, like insane. I know it's kind of like we've talked about it numerous of times. We've always talked about, I feel like somehow like Valentina was just out there and we kind of like whispered it a couple of times. It's just because when you're in that weight class, I feel like you're not in the UFC to collect 50,000 and 50,000, and you're not in the UFC to keep on putting our flyweight record on prevail. Like, you want to be champion one day. So like every time we do talk, it's like that. And now if you do move down to strawweight, you see what's in front of you in Wei Li. And to me, how explosive and twitchy and how dynamic she is. like I feel like she's exponentially getting better and better on the ground and kind of in that wrestle and base and kind of going for. She went for like 2 or 3 different wins before she kind of got that neck crank / choke. So like I was super impressed with her. And like, again, I think I'm the super most positive guy ever. I was so disappointed in Carla. Like she just looked like she was happy to be in the co-main event on Madison Square Garden. Like that's what I got from her watching it on pay-per-view, was like she was happy to be there. And I never saw like fuck, like we're in a fight. Like we're gonna fight and you're gonna see everything I got. It might not be good enough, but you will see that juice sometimes. I felt like you saw that in Izzy Adesanya. He did lost, but like you saw like he was fighting, like he wanted to win that. And some guys just have your number. Felt like Carla was like, she's better than me. Like it is what it is. I felt like you saw that.
No, I felt like honestly when Carla tapped, like she could have had a choke, whatever, but I felt like Carla was just waiting to tap.
Yeah,
she was ready to. Like she was like, all right, I'm losing this, and I know I was gonna lose it, and she was just like holding her hand up and waiting for the moment.
Yes, yeah.
Like oh, maybe instead of defending the choke here.
Right.
Yeah, no, I definitely see what you were saying with that, where I think she walked out accepting the loss. It looked like, obviously you don't know what's going on in the fighter's head, but from the outside, that's how it appeared. And obviously Whaley looked great though out there. And from my point of view, I'm like, I feel like both of them make a lot of. Whaley's very explosive, very athletic, but she makes a lot of fight IQ mistakes on the ground. There's some like little things that she could make a lot smarter decisions, and that's where I'd capitalize.
Very true. We'll get into Pierre, but one question that just popped into my brilliant mind, and it's why I get paid the big bucks to literally talk about MMA for a living. So let's just say one day down the road, and maybe you do and maybe you don't, and we've never really talked about this, especially on air, so this is great. So let's just say one day Gillian Robertson gets married, and we see a little bit on social media. Sometimes we see a nice, good-looking hunk by your side on some of these Instagram stories. So just say one day, 3 years from now, you do get married, and like your goal is to win the UFC championship. And what Carla did, would you ever and I hope you don't answer the answer because I felt like it was kind of cheesy. Would you ever like wear the UFC championship belt like in your wedding or down the aisle? Would that ever be a part of it?
No. One, no. Two, never if I want to fight in that manner.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's even better. I
would be embarrassed of that belt in general because that was such a shit win. Like the worst fight in UFC history. I would not be like, yeah, this is my belt.
Oh my God, that's so true. I didn't even like kind of think about that until you said it was like the worst fucking way to win ever. And like, you're kind of like, you're dragging it longer. It's like, if I do something bad, it's like, fuck, I fess up. Hey, make my peace, move on. Like, I'll be better the next day. Like, I'm not going to keep like, here's a poster of my fuck up. Like their wedding pictures for the rest of their life will have her UFC belt on. It's like,
it's too much.
It's, what it kind of reminds me of? It's like little Henry Cejudo. It's a little Henry Cejudo.
Oh, I can definitely see that.
Crazy. And that's another thing we talk about at a different time. He's like back kind of. All right, let's kind of end with UFC 281. Pierre and Izzy, awesome. Like it was such a cool fight. The end of the first round, Izzy had Alex Pierre literally dead almost. It seemed like 10 more seconds in that round. Izzy maybe ends the night for Pierre. Down 3-1 in like judges' eyes, most of the people's eyes, came back, knocks him out in the fifth. I never talked to you about it. What did you think about like the stoppage of people? Some people were eerie on it. What did you think about Pierre's comeback? Everything in between. Take me away on that.
The comeback was absolutely wild. For one thing, to see him come out like thinking he was gassed coming out in the fifth, and to see him be able to put that together was very impressive. But I think if you're a champ, you gotta let him fall. You gotta let him who's like, obviously Izzy was in a rough position. I understand why the ref did stop it in a way, but I'm like, you got to let a champion go out. Like they, in their heart that that's what they want. Izzy needed, like Izzy's never going to be content with that. 'Cause he always thinks that like, I would have been fine. I could have recovered. And some people do like, after that fight, I was talking to somebody about it was Pat Barry and
Chet Congo.
Yeah. I'm like, there's fights like that where it's like you see people come back, you see miraculous shit happen. It's like you don't know if that fight was finished until Izzy dropped.
Love your take on it. And I've talked to 100 people about it. We talked about it on the podcast when it first happened, like a couple weeks ago. And I was kind of okay with the stoppage because Pierre is like on him, and that guy's a murderer. He's just that guy. He is him, right? And he's kind of over him. But the longer it kind of sat on me, and I loved how Izzy like took it. He's like, hey, I thought it was maybe a short, but like I live with it, and it was on me, and blah blah blah. I thought Izzy wasn't. I actually like Izzy more today than I did going into the fight. I think he's been awesome since. I agree with you 1,000%. Like there wasn't never, in the fights, you see it all the time. You see that quick second where like the person goes limp or goes out, especially when they're on the cage, they kind of like fall a certain way and they kind of like, you just see it's the beginning of the end usually. And that didn't happen. Like he's getting hit and he's getting rocked and he's on the cage and he's kind of like this and he's messed up for sure. But he never does that like limp, I'm out. Like there was always someone there. And like you said, in a 5th round war at Madison Square Garden, one of the biggest fights of the year, like there's a little bit of like, no, like, bro, you got to go out. Like I can't save you here. Like this is too big for me to save you in a way. So like, I fucking agree. Like I'm with you. But sure.
Even Izzy probably agrees with that 100% that he wants to go out.
Oh
he
yeah, for sure.
He wants the fight to fucking finish. If it's gonna be knocked out, he wants to be knocked out. He doesn't want to like. From what I saw, he was doing like a boxing roll. He was just trying to roll to avoid a punch when the ref stopped it. So it didn't look like he was in a terrible. Well, he was in a bad position, but I don't know. It's still up in there what could have happened. But
especially he's winning the fight. He's up 3 rounds to 1. And like it's pretty obvious he's up multiple rounds. And like even if he gets messed up bad, like somehow if he can kind of just clinch or just get out of that position or fall and kind of have like Pierre kind of on him, if he could survive that minute and a half, 2 minutes, he probably retains his championship. Like it might be as a 10A. It'd be crazy if it was some kind of draw, which is a whole nother thing. But like you got to see the 6-time defending middleweight champion, maybe the 2nd greatest middleweight, maybe the greatest middleweight ever. Like you got to see him fucking fall. Like you just have to. He's just that guy now. You do.
I was going to say on another note, how big is fucking Pahea?
He's a heavyweight. He's
so just looks massive next to Izzy. I'm like, it's crazy to see. How does he make that cut?
It's crazy, Gillian. It's crazy. Like it probably makes me feel bad as a guy making that cut. You're probably like, fuck yeah, I should be a strawweight for sure if Pierre is making that cut. Like I get it. And it's so wild to me. I never thought about it the same kind of thing. I listen to so much shit and I watch so much stuff. It's wild that, of course, he wanted Izzy. We all know that Pierre definitely wanted Izzy. He kind of came to the UFC to come get Izzy, and all the memes are so funny. Wherever Izzy goes, Pierre's going to follow him. But I think it's wild that in 2 weeks, UFC 282, when it's Glover versus Yuri. And if Yuri defeats Glover, he's the betting favorite, the younger guy. I think Yuri's going to win, to be honest. And I like Glover. I actually like Glover a lot. I talked to him a couple times. Glover's a great dude. I think Yuri's going to get him. It's crazy that Pierre should be a light heavyweight. And I am like so intrigued to see if Glover loses and walks away, if like Pierre honestly does move up and say, hey, I came to middleweight. I kind of beat the guy I wanted to beat. I'm fine with it. I assume they will do a media rematch, but like I can see Pierre like, I don't want to make that cut ever again. Let me go to 205 and imagine like how insane Yuri Prochazka versus Alex Pereira fight would be. Like, give me a like.
Oh yeah,
dude, sign me up. I'll take my money right now on that fight.
And even like if you look at I want to say it's top 15 of his division. I'm like, I don't think there's a single wrestler in there. And so I want to say number 11 or 12 is Gastelum.
Well, what? How about Bobby Knuckles, Robert Whittaker?
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know. I feel like, I feel like he would still try to fight him on the feet.
Man, he used to be a welterweight. He might just be too small. Like, I know he is more of a wrestler. Like, I do get it. He's like 50-50. He wrestles
Yeah.
and strikes. I think he will, of course, try to wrestle Pereira. He might just be like too small to take him down 4 straight rounds. Like it might just be a toll. Like, God damn it, I got to take this 220-pound guy down again.
Oh, yeah.
Like, easy. So crazy. Crazy.
Like, yeah, I feel like that is the move for him, though, is the move up, which would be amazing to see.
Yeah. It's like, it reminds me so much of DC and Cain Velasquez. Like, Cain was the heavyweight. They were best friends, brothers. You can see how tight Glover and Pereira are. And there's no way he's going to be in that division. And he won the fight. I think he's moving up. Real quick, I just mentioned that guy. We never really talked about it that much. How cool is it that Cain Velasquez got bail? And like, have you stayed with that story at all? And like, it seems like the whole MMA community, like everyone I talked to, I haven't heard one person be like, no, like Cain deserves to be in there. Everyone's like so pro Cain to get out and move on with his life. I would assume the same way.
Oh yeah. I'm like, I've never met Cain personally, but in that situation, I feel like it's almost like the law didn't help him in his situation. So it enacted his own force of the law, which I get, like, it's obviously not okay, but completely understandable in that situation. It's your daughter. Like, I completely understand his like what he did. And I feel like it's been too long that he hasn't been released, that he hasn't been offered bail. He hasn't been offered something like that, because it's just, like I said, the law fucked him over initially.
It's like, I think it was like 6 to 8 months he was in there. Just like, I couldn't even imagine. Of course, like the rest of the family and all that stuff. So it's awesome he's out. I just saw on another media site, like I think he has like a professional wrestling gig that he's like making money on. So like, it's great. He's moving on and he's making money for his family, or not even that. Lawyer fees and all that shit's gotta be crazy. Bail was $1 million, like a legitimate $1 million. Like, and I know he was like heavyweight champion and all that stuff, but like, come on now. We all know, like, especially back then, like 6, 8, 10 years ago, they're not making the money that they're making now. And like, that's a lot of money. $1 million is still $1 million. Like, that's a lot.
Yeah. Even like you said, with all the lawyer fees, court fees, everything that's plus the bail, it's like it's ridiculous that he has to go through all of this.
For sure. All right, so I mentioned that, so we'll get one Volkanovski Islam thing, and then I do want to talk about Orlando a little bit. I don't know if we're going to talk before. Next week is literally bananas. UFC Orlando is on Saturday. Icon's on Friday. Weigh-ins are on Thursday. I'm going to be in Orlando all week. There's still a big thing that's happening that we're not allowed to say is going to happen in that show yet, and the whole show is a lot of Fusion guys that you probably know. Reggie Northup is on that card that you and I called his fight on Island Fights. Super cool. But real quick, last thing, Volkanovski and Makhachev was announced for UFC 284. Do you love it? Do you not like it? Are you intrigued with it? Where are you at on that matchup?
I'm not in love with it.
Okay.
I'm like, I don't know. I feel like it goes one way. I think Makhachev wrestles him, and that's the fight we're gonna see.
Right.
But I would much rather see Darush and Makhachev.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Dustin, or you kind of same thing? Like, you already seen that before.
Yeah, I'm like, I feel like that's the matchup to make, but I also feel like the Makhachev and Volkanovski fight's gonna happen, and Darush is the type of gangster who's gonna try to take fights before then. So I know I've heard Oliveira and Poirier both talking about him, which either one of those fights I'm down for.
Yeah. I don't know if Poirier will do it just because of time. And I do think so. He just fought 3 weeks ago in New York. The Chandler fight was crazy. We didn't even mention that fight, how fucking nuts that first round was.
Forgot about that one too.
Yeah, insane. So like a lot of people want Poirier and Benny on that same card and kind of make that as a big co-main event of the Perth, Australia card, especially one of them you can assume will be the backup fighter if something happens with Volkanovski or Makhachev, whatever. But I don't know. Like, I can see Dustin. Like, I just think that's too soon. I think he is a family guy, and it's Christmas and it's Thanksgiving. And like, I don't see him like, dude, Benny's legit. And I think it's quick turnaround, and Dustin doesn't do that anymore. Like, he's kind of becoming that. If you say Poirier twice a year, wow. Like, he's getting to that point. He's almost maybe like a once a year type of fighter. And you know, he's earned that. He's done it. He's fought Conor 3 times. Like, the checks are good for him now. So you know, I think we'll see Benny and Dustin like in this like May, March. So much like, dude, John Jones is back. Like, we haven't talked in a couple weeks. It's like, it's insane. Like, so we can go on forever. But I want to talk about Orlando. This week coming up, UFC Orlando. So on Saturday, like, just kind of let's stick on the icon card. So have you seen so much of the card, or have you seen a lot of the Fusion guys on it, or? Okay.
I have not. I was gonna say, we didn't even talk about the combat night in Rise of Warriors.
Oh yeah. Shoot, yeah, that was last weekend, right?
Yeah, that was last weekend. Honestly, probably one of the coolest amateur and pro events that I've ever been to.
That's so
It
cool.
was like, it's what I grew up with Rise of Warrior and Combat Night. I'm like, I've had 8 out of my 11 amateur fights on either one of those promotions. Rise of Warriors, like my hometown, it's in Fort Pierce. I grew up literally, I went to high school in Fort Pierce. I grew up in Port St. Lucie, right next to it. So I'm like, it just feels like home to me. And to see such a huge event, like, one of the biggest amateur pro events I've seen in a long time. I'm like, it was just such a professional event for these fighters, and it was so awesome to see with Mitchell Chamala and Dan Donaldson coming together and really just like putting on a awesome show.
It's so cool. Like, they do so much for the Florida fight scene, and there's so many people, especially like in South Florida, like you said, like that's his place. And it was cool that like two promotions can kind of like promote, this, like promoters and even gym owners and fighters. A lot of people don't like, I feel like, do the shake hand emoji thing. Like, it's a lot of people are guarded and they want what's theirs. And there's only so much out there. So I get it to a certain extent, but it was so cool that they can be like, hey, let's do this thing together and let's make a huge card. And I saw like one post, I think it was like on your IG story or something of that nature. It was like 6 years apart, and like it was like the same fighter you took a picture with. Is that what happened?
That was actually Dan Donaldson's son.
Okay.
Yeah, he came out to my UFC debut. So that the first picture was at my debut, which was now I think almost 6 years ago.
Yeah.
December 1st will be my 6-year anniversary in the UFC. So we're coming up on it. And then again now, it's just the promoter's son that took a picture.
Dude, 6 years in the UFC?
Yeah, crazy.
Dude, you're like a vet, bro. You're like,
I hate when so many times like I get a fight and they're like, this young fighter against a seasoned vet, like when I fought Miranda or Macy or something like that, and I'm like 2 years older than them. Like, calm down. I'm not a vet.
Oh my gosh. I don't know if you saw it just happened. I know you're like dealing with some stuff before this. Like, Kayla Harrison just was on Ariel's show, and they're like talking about like Cyborg and like a lot of her past. And like Kayla Harrison was like getting on her because like her point was saying, hey, Cyborg, like long time ago, had some really good fights, but like the last 4 or 3 years, especially in Bellator, she's not fighting good competition and it's low level and all this stuff. And like Kayla like said something like that. And it was so funny how she said it was about like how she's like this veteran and stuff of that nature. And it's like, damn, like Kayla was going in. Kayla was going after Cyborg. It's crazy. Like, they got to fight. Like, we got to see that. Like, they've been like flirting with each other for so long. It's just like, guys, let's go.
That's my thing about it. I'm like, Kayla was talking mad shit while she was a free agent. Why didn't she sign with Bellator if she wanted to fight? I'm like, if you about it, be about it.
Right.
I get you're making good money at PFL, but if you want to prove you're the best, prove it.
Right. And especially like you just won, like say, hey, Bellator, like, I don't want to sign a 4-fight deal. And I know they're going to want me for more because it's hard to like promote and put a lot of money into Kayla if you're Bellator, if she's only going to be like one and done. And I do get that. But the fight is like so big. I think they could like, hey, we're going to give you what, $1 million, one fight. Let's get this fight out of the way and like move on with our lives. I think it's going to be the opposite. I really do think that Cyborg is going to come to the PFL next year because like they're doing pay-per-views now. Like even this, they fight Friday, which is crazy. Like, how wild is it that they have to weigh in on Thanksgiving morning? Like, instead of like, we have like Cinnabons, like literally in the fridge ready for tomorrow morning for the kids and all. And like, they got to weigh in at their fucking fight weight.
It actually might be nicer if you think about it, because now you can still enjoy Thanksgiving afternoon. You weigh in the morning, you get to eat dinner.
But So, okay, that's funny you say that because I thought about that too. That was the first thing I thought of. But then a lot of people told me, like, dude, like they're not going to want to eat turkey and mashed potatoes and stuffing and pecan pie. Like they're not going to want to eat that type of food. But
I don't know. I mostly keep it to just like protein and carbs. So something like turkey and mashed potatoes would be a perfect dinner for me on a weigh-in day.
There you go. There you go. Hey, 2020. I think they are. I've actually heard that from a couple females that PFL will have a flyweight and a featherweight. I think they're adding like 2 more divisions in the.
That's definitely interesting.
Yeah.
I'm like, because that $1 million tournament is definitely interesting.
I always, and like, I think we've talked about this before, that to me, that tournament is so up your alley. Like, hey, we're going to fight 4 times in 6 months, like in 5 months, like we're going to go. I think that's like that grooms into your MO. Like, hey, let's go. Like if you say, hey, it's March, April, you're off June, it's July and it's October, like, let's do it. Like I'm game. I know my schedule season. So it's a lot of fucking money, $1 million.
Oh yeah, no, that it's definitely something to consider if they do come out with it.
We'll see. Hey, maybe 20, the straw weight next year, you dominate, you beat Mackenzie Dern, you became like the hottest free agent in the game. And then like PFL's like, hey, we got to give her $300,000 to fight. And then in the $1 million tournament, and then,
I'll be answering that call.
Look at this guy. So we're about to send this hat out. This is the giveaway that Gillian, like we said, Gillian signed it. Dude, this hat is so sick.
That's the latest Venom I got.
That's a
got
sick
it at
hat,
my last fight. So
that's the giveaway that we all promised. That hat. I was maybe going to meet up with the person today. It didn't work. So I will take a picture with them, or maybe we'll do some kind of fun video with them. So that's that. But yeah, we did it 32 minutes. I know there's so much more, but I just feel like, I don't know, can't go on forever. I think this is our sweet spot.
I'm like, I haven't talked to you in forever. There's just too much right now.
I know. I didn't even talk like so I commentated on 2 shows in 3 weeks. One, dude. So like, I guess we can kind of talk about it. We tried so hard to get Joey at Island Fights. Like we almost worked it out 3 different ways, and we looked up plane tickets multiple different times. It's hard to be crazy. So that night I commentated with Brock Weaver, who kind of like is there all the time, and he's like big into Island Fights, but he actually he had a fighter in the main event, so he had to go away. So SD Dumas, who's now in the UFC, he kind of came in there. Let's just say SD Dumas definitely played the male version of Gillian the Savage Robertson that night. He smelled really well, had a great cologne to him. I'm just going to throw that out there. And then, so then this past weekend, it was Game Bred Boxing. We weren't sure who's going to commentate that show as well. We're in Biloxi. That's where Hannah Guy lives. That's her hometown. So Hannah Guy stepped up. It was her first time commentating. She loved it. Like she got the bug. Like afterwards, she's like, Dave, when's the next show? When can I do it again? What are we going to do? So like Hannah Guy is like, she's into it. And like Hannah to me is a little bit like you. She's a little bit more reserved, a little shy, but like when the fights kicked on, like she was into it. Like she went for it. It was awesome to see.
Awesome.
Yeah. Crazy. So,
and then this weekend, Icon, obviously.
I know. Orlando, Florida. That's Friday. And then Saturday's the UFC in Orlando. The card is so sick. Holland and Wonder Boy. There's like 10 fights. Tai Tuivasa's on the fight card. Phil Rowe versus Nico Price is on the card. It's insane. So crazy. Crazy. Awesome. Well, all right. We'll roll. We'll hopefully you have a good Thanksgiving, G. And I don't know. Well, maybe we'll do an Instagram live next week, kind of quick, if it's you and I were in our cars or in Orlando, and maybe there's a slim possibility that we might be in the Orlando area together. So you never know,
Might be able to do, a little something there.
little Mic Cuddles there on the road. So
live.
We'll see. Michael, dude, we'll sell out the House of Blues. We'll put, put up Gillian's name in the House of Blues. We'll sell it out. So who knows? But guys, we appreciate it. It's been awesome. And 2022 is almost over. It's crazy. Flying by. All right. We'll talk to you guys later.